This is a list of 10 books that have been on my physical TBR for the longest. I've probably wanted to read these 10 books longer than I've wanted to read any other book on my shelf, and yet I still haven't read them. But I've been thinking about these books lately. I wanted to talk to you today about the 10 books that have been on my physical TBR the longest. What I need help with in this video is that I need you all in the comments to help convince me to finally read these books. That's what I need. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books, and if you would recommend them to me, please help me. Give me the motivation that I need. These are in no particular order, because they're all equal in my eyes. Book number 10 is Outlander by, what is your name? Diana Gabaldon. Gabaldon? Gabaldon. I really don't know. But Outlander. When I first started getting back into reading, for some reason this book caught my eye on the shelf. Upon reading the back, I thought that sounds like a fantastic idea. It's part historical fiction, it's part time travel, magical realism, and obviously there's some great romance thrown in there like every great story has, and yet I've still not picked it up. It has all the elements that I think would make a great story, and it sounds like it has all of the elements that would make up something that I would absolutely love and devour. Yet, I have not even purchased a copy of it. I've had it in my hands several times at multiple bookstores. This is a book that's been recommended to me time and time again. And it seems like I share the same sentiments as a lot of you in the comments. I've just been so lazy. Number 9 is Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. I remember years ago when Ashlynn and I went back to Tennessee to visit her family for Christmas, I was talking to her uncle. Actually, we were talking to her uncle together about science fiction, because he's a huge science fiction reader. And he was actually, at the time, recommending to us, we need to read the Red Rising Saga by Pierce Brown, and we need to read The Expanse by James S.A. Corey. But the way he talked about these books, I was like, oh, these have to be magnificent. This is a series that anytime a new book is installed into the series and published, he goes back and he rereads every single book. Now that is a feat and a half, because I think it's up to like 10 books now, right? And a few novellas. It's expansive. Oh gosh, the leaf blower man's coming back. No, it's a different man. Brother, the other guy was already here. Sir, I'm thankful for what you do, but please don't do it right now. Leviathan's Wake, epic science fiction. It's been sitting on my shelf staring at me for over a year. It's been almost a year and a half since this book was sent to me, and I still have not approached picking it up. Maybe we do a big sci-fi video later in the year, because there's a lot of science fiction on my shelves that I haven't yet read, and all of it sounds fantastic. But Leviathan's Wake is one of those that probably is at the top of the list. Like, I need to do that ASAP and stop lollygagging. Number 8 is Infinite Jest. I think it feels like every other video I make about lists, Infinite Jest pops up on every single one. It's because I saw a video years ago, probably 4 years ago, on a channel called Leaf by Leaf, and I've mentioned him several times on the channel. Chris, if you're watching this, I love your channel. It's inspired me as a reader to stretch myself. I've watched so many videos on his channel about this book. I feel like I know what it's about, and I feel at the same time that I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. But this is a book that I've been mesmerized with. The idea of reading it. Every time I think about reading this book, I get so ready. I'm like, yes, I am going to read this book. It's going to be so good. And then I just never do. I've also been thinking about this book because a friend a couple of days ago asked me what this book is even about, and I feel like I did a terrible job. I kind of want to talk to you just briefly. I'm just going to read the back. Maybe it will help get you interested in reading this book as well. It is massive. I mean, it's like a 1,200-page book set in an addict's halfway house, like drug addict. Set in an addict's halfway house and a tennis academy, and featuring one of the most endearingly screwed up families in contemporary fiction, Infinite Jest explores essential questions about what entertainment is and why it has come to dominate our lives, and how our desire for entertainment affects our need to connect with other people, and about what the pleasures we choose say about who we are. Equal parts philosophical quest and screwball comedy, Infinite Jest bends every rule of fiction without sacrificing for a moment its own entertainment value. It is an exuberant, uniquely American exploration of the passions that make us human, and one of those rare books that renew the idea of what a novel can do. And I watched an entire 3.5-hour video of Leaf by Leaf telling me that in detail. So what am I doing? Number 7 is The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. Dude, I watched the miniseries a while ago, I think when I was in high school, and thoroughly enjoyed it. Had no idea it was based off of a novel. Had no idea it was even based off of a series of books. Historical fiction set in a time period that I'm so fascinated in. And the entire book is just about people building a cathedral. But it also explores like the political intrigue and the ecclesiastical intrigue and the just class distinctions, and it sounds like the characters are incredible. This book has garnered my attention for like 5 or 6 years. I'm not picked it up, and I have it on my shelf. I've had it on my shelf for 2 years. 2 years! Not even come close to touching it. I need to read the books that I buy. You know what I'm saying? Every avid reader has that issue with their bookshelves of they buy more than they read. I need to be convinced to read Pillars of the Earth. Please, somebody write a whole essay down in the comments. I need to be convinced. And it needs to be soon. Number 6 is A Dance with Dragons by George R.R. Martin. As big of a fan of A Song of Ice and Fire that I am, I have yet to bring myself to finish the 5th book. I think partly my reasoning is it's just not finished, and I don't want to read something that's going to be insanely good, like George always delivers, and then have to either wait 10 more years for him to finally get his act together and finish the series, or never get to finish the series. And so reading the 5th book, I've just been putting it off because I have no clear incentive to finish. But this series has changed my life. I mean, the first book of Game of Thrones is the book that got me back into reading in the first place. I'm scared. I'm scared that still nothing would compare at the end of it, because it's one of those series that George gets better with each book. I just have not brought myself to open that book up. And this year, I think I am going to finally just sit down, reread the entire series, finish that 5th book, but I need to be compelled to do so. I need him to finish the series so I can actually start reading the 5th one, because I don't want to read something that's going to be amazing and then have to wait or never get what I want. But on the other hand, it'll probably be the last and final Song of Ice and Fire book ever written. I'm screwed either way. I'm screwed either way. Before we go any further, I do need to take some time to talk to you about today's sponsor, Curology. Lately, I've been dealing with some acne, some red spotting, and a severe case of dry skin. I don't know if you can really see, my skin feels drier than a bone. So that is why I turned to the professionals at Curology. After going to their website, you'll find that all you need to do is take a skin quiz, which really is just a series of questions that helps them get to know your skin goals, and your skin history, and what your skin is currently struggling with. And by the end of that quiz, I got my simplified skincare routine, which included my gentle cleanser, my cream moisturizer, and the star of the show, which is your RX personalized formula, which includes acne busting technology. Curology makes it so simple and easy to get your prescription online. For those of you who have anxiety about going to a dermatologist, with Curology, you can skip that step. And what's super nice, you get to be in contact with a skin specialist the entire time. And what's really convenient about that is they check in on you, see how your skin's doing, and you can alter your routine as you go. And me being a very impatient and indisciplined person, I'm so grateful that it's not like an 8 or 12 step skincare routine. It's just 3 products. If you want to check out Curology for yourself and take the skin quiz, click the link down below in the description today. It'll give you a special offer on your first Curology box. And thank you so much to Curology for sponsoring today's video. All right, back to books I've been putting off. Number 5 is Eye of the World by... what's his face? Robert Jordan. This is the first book in the Wheel of Time series. As a fantasy fan and as a person who read nothing but fantasy a few years ago, Eye of the World has been on my list for a very long time. I've actually owned a mass market paperback copy and just decided, you know what, I'm probably not going to read this anytime soon, and I got rid of it. What am I doing? I want to read this book. It's been on my TBR for the longest time. Epic fantasy at its best. One of those series that just popped up in the 90s and changed the fantasy landscape, and I just get rid of it. Like, man, I want to read this book really bad. Here you go, I'm going to give it to somebody else. I donate it, but this is a book that as a fantasy fan, I need to read before I die. If you're into fantasy in any way, shape, or form, this is the series that everybody needs to try out. And I have been putting off getting a copy of this again for years now because I just feel so embarrassed that I had a copy and I bought it for like $4 at a thrift store and decided, meh, guys, I need help. I need help. Convince me to read these books. This is so bad. Number 4 is The Godfather by Mario Puzo. I've been a huge fan of the Godfather movie trilogy since I can remember. Love the writing, love the acting, love the story as a whole. And the fact that those first 2 movies really encapsulate what the book is. My brother's read this book multiple times. He says I would love it. There are some aspects of it, though, apparently that I need to skip around, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But I love the idea of being in New York City around the time, the height of the mafia influence. These mob families running the show behind the scenes. You get to see that time and that setting through the lens of one of these crime families, the Corleones, and you get to see the rise and the fall and the betrayals. I don't know, it just sounds so compelling, and I freaking love the story already, so I don't know why it's a book that I've been putting off for years now. Years. I don't know what's wrong with me. I really don't. Wow, guys, we're blowing through this. Like, I didn't want this I didn't want this video to be long, and it's not. Number 3 is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I think this is also another one of those books alongside Infinite Jest. You know, it gets put on every single list, and how have I still not read it? The titan of Russian literature, not only as the author himself, but as the book. War and Peace stands out among the crowd as just being the it book. If there's only one classic you can read before you die, everyone says it needs to be War and Peace. You need to read this book, otherwise you haven't read the best of the best. I've seen countless videos on people saying, my reading experience was never the same after I finished this book, and they wished that they could give anything in their life to go back and read it again for the first time. I think that's a big reason why I've been putting it off, because it's like, will nothing taste the same? Will no book feel the same after reading War and Peace? And that's kind of how it's felt over the past few months with reading some of these classics and some of these harder books that I've been trying to read. It's like my reading experience and my reading taste has kind of dwindled when it comes to the more for entertainment value reading, and I'm really scared that War and Peace will do that to me. But I need to know who these characters are. I need to know why Tolstoy wrote this book in the first place. I need to know what happens, and I need to read it because I love big books. The cream of the crop when it comes to big books. But yet I'm so scared. I'm so intimidated. And I own 4 copies of the book. I own 4 copies of this book, and I haven't read a single word. Do what you do best. Convince me, or don't convince me in the comments. Number 2 is Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. I actually made it halfway through this book last summer. I was reading it as part of a really stupid challenge. I was trying to stay up for 50 hours straight and read books, and it was the last book that I was attempting, and I made it 50%, to be honest, because my brain was shutting down minute by minute. I cannot tell you a single thing about the book. I don't remember a bloody thing. I wanted to read the Sun Eater series longer than I wanted to read Red Rising or The Expanse. If that tells you anything, I discovered Sun Eater before I discovered any other science fiction series, and I've wanted to read it ever since. And everybody says that 3rd book, Demon in White, is so good. It's like one of the best books they've ever read in their entire lives. I just can't bring myself to read the first one. It's a weird paradox in my life where I want to read a book so bad. Like the urge to pick it up and start reading from its pages is so overwhelming. But then I get so lazy and say, nah. But also, granted, as a booktuber, I am constantly thinking of books for certain videos and videos for certain books. And so sometimes I don't want the flow of my filming schedule and also the reading schedule that goes along with that filming schedule to be interrupted sometimes by just reading a book for passion. I am always trying to be very conscious in my filming and in my reading to read books that I want to read, and I'm not trying to just read books to read books. But sometimes that urge to mood read outside of the project that I'm working on is so overwhelming, but I always suppress it because I need to get through the project. And I always tell myself later, once I'm done. And then later happens, and 6 months have gone by, and I go, man, I really kind of want to read that book again. And that's been the case with Empire of Silence. I know I need to read it, guys. I know I do. And last but not least, I can't believe it. We made it to 1 so fast. And that is A Fig for All the Devils by C.S. Fritz. The year that I downloaded Goodreads was the year that I found out about this book. I think it was the first recommendation Goodreads ever gave me based on my reading taste, which was interesting because it's a horror novel, but it's also a coming-of-age story. And in a sense, it's also kind of a memoir of the author in fictional form. It's like an auto-fictional biography kind of a thing. This young boy becomes the apprentice of the Grim Reaper. It's not YA, and it's not cozy. It is actually dark and grim and horrific, but it's light and airy at points because the Grim Reaper's got a sense of humor. For the longest time, years after discovering that this book exists, the only way to get it was through digital copy. Walking into a bookstore the other day here in Austin, guess what? I see a physical copy of of course I picked it up. This is the book that's been on my TBR the longest out of all of these books. And now that I have it, I need to read it. And I actually started trying to read it the other day. But again, that whole, I need to be filming for something else because I have deadlines and I have this and I have that. It got on the way and I put it down. I got scared. I could have been done with it. I could have had a great time with it. But no. And I'm beseeching you, help me. Do you want to see any of these books read in videos? Do you want to see any of these books talked about in other list videos after I've read them? Because I'm not going to put Infinite Jest back on a list or War and Peace back on a list until I've read them. They can't be on every single list because that's boring. I hope the next time you see me talk about any of these books, it's either in a vlog or in a video where I've actually read them. Thank you for bearing with me. I know this was like really out of left field, but I've been thinking about these books a lot. I've been thinking about doing a video like this for quite some time. So that's all I got. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being here. Thank you again to Curology for sponsoring today's video. Again, click the link down below in the description. Take advantage of that sweet limited time special offer in your first box. You won't regret it. Your skin will thank you, and I thank you so much for being here. Without further ado, I'm gonna get back to reading. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you click on another one and stick around and like and subscribe. Love you, bye! No, but in all seriousness, please click the one that's recommended to you. It's probably gonna change your life. Yep. Bye.